Here I am after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman who keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they're squalling and wet, heir to a spineless man who never forgets that he's a prisoner. Can't you hear my plea? 'Cause I need somebody, Lord knows, to listen to me. I'm a stranger.
Welcome, peace and love. Barigani.
Kujichagulia.
Yes, that's self-determination. You know, we have the right to define ourselves, and we have the right to decide how we're going to go about what's best for us. And a very important principle that we need to reflect on today, and it has a direct relationship to how we see our political prisoner. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with Brother and for political prisoner
Abdul Islam.
First and foremost, we like to give a revolutionary condolence to brother and comrade Ralph Pointer.
Family, yeah.
And his family, you know, and the family of Ralph Pointer. We know that he's been doing this work for quite some time. You know, I was told that he was going through a health crisis, and I thought I had time to make arrangements to go see him. Unfortunately, that time didn't allow me to go see him, and you know, I'm deeply apologetic to the family about not making my visit. Please forgive me for that. We continue to fight in his spirit and continue to do this work because he stood on principle, and he was adamant about freeing our political prisoners. So, you know, if we have any respect for anybody like him that did this work, then we'll step up and we'll carry the work from the point where they left off at. So today, Kujichagulia, self-determination. You know, What does that mean? How does it reflect the work on fighting for our political prisoners? Our brother's going to break down the Republic of New Africa and how these brave men and women decided that they were going to take the ideas of Malcolm X further, and they do what's necessary to express the ideas of self-determination. And they utilize the idea of self-reliance to express self-determination, because you have to rely on one another. We have to rely on ourselves, and we truly are to be self-determined, because to do anything other than that will be undermining what we're trying to do in terms of carrying out our overall objective. So, Brother Abdul Hafiz.
Peace and love, power to the people. Self-determination. It's a very, very important principle, that we must study and learn, and oftentimes it's through our independent education that we get greater understanding, more profound and meaningful understanding of what this principle means to us that we might get through the colonizing schools. Self-determination is the opposite of slavery. The slave mentality, you depend on your master for everything. Your master programs the mind of the slave, like a robot, and only those ideas, only those thoughts, only those meanings which serves, for the master to dominate, control, and reap the benefits and the wealth produced by the slave. Only those things are perpetuated and allowed to flourish, when we stay in the state of the mental slavery. Self-determination, black power, self-determination as a concept, as a principle, is kicking it. It's kicking behind, you understand, against the ideas and the wishes and hopes, of those who would love to continue to colonize us forever. It's raising hell against those against that colonization. Self-determination was put into practice in a very, very meaningful way, by the Republic of New Africa. In certain of the schools that people might attend that they don't control, you will not get a full understanding of the significance of the Republic of New Africa. Republic of New Africa was an organization by black people, with the goal of separation and controlling their own economy, controlling their own livelihood, self-government, to the uplift of the race, totally depending upon self, totally relying on self, and they set aside as a program to liberate for the African nation, the states of Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, Alabama, and Louisiana, and this is a very, very advanced idea, of people, breaking free. It's an act of resistance, an act of rebellion, against, the reliance on the slave master, for the, for food, clothing, shelter, jobs, what to think, how to act, what your future would be, what your lifespan is going to be, this is revolutionary, very, very important, for us to give to our children and to other members of our race, to depend on self, to rely on self, to determine your own fate, because those who would like to colonize and control us, they want to determine everything. They want to make the decisions, to sit around and have meetings and decide for us, what's going to happen in every aspect of our life. So it's revolutionary, just to break free, from this prison. And Malcolm described America as a prison. We must break free. It's a very, very brutal system. So you rely on yourself, you defend yourself. Self-determination also calls for armed self-defense. To stop being a whipping boy. A political punk. For the system. Instead of to be real men and women. And this is a principle. That gets into the heartbeat of a human being, the heartbeat of our nation. It pushes us forward. A very, very beautiful thing. For us to stand up to the full height of our humanity. As opposed to being just having our humanity destroyed human beings. Living for the whims of others. For the economic development of others. Being destroyed people. So some other people can steal our resources, steal our labor, steal our lives. You understand? And walk us, like a dog on a leash, and tell us which way to go. So we rebel in a powerful way. Against this disgraceful way of being. The slave mentality, which it still exists in various degrees among some of our people, and others of our people have shown enough, advanced above this. Members of RNA, including Dr. Demetri Marshall. I had the pleasure of camping in his joint, in Mississippi, while I was down there. Chakwe Lumumba, Robert Williams, Omari Obadeli, a brother who was a political prisoner, and involved in a firefight that the RNA had with the pigs in New Bethel Baptist Church, the church that Aretha Franklin's father pastor of. Later on in Mississippi, the police again attacked the RNA in a building, Jackson, Mississippi, attacked it. So it was the police in both instances, were the aggressors. So someone, so our enemy would like to criminalize people who defend themselves against armed aggressors, armed murderers. We know that among the police force, there's certain pigs that love to murder black people, and black people who defend themselves, the enemy would like to define them as criminals. But we have a right to self-defense, to stand up and defend our lives. And the Republic of New Africa is a great
example of that.
A great example of that, and it's well worth our research.
Absolutely. So, when we prepared for this and I learned more about the RNA, and I learned how they had their eye on a particular land and they had an agenda that they were going to carry out, I understood how serious they was. And it's very interesting to know that the two founders of the RNA were both working with Malcolm X. So they understood their duty when Malcolm was assassinated, when Malcolm was murdered and took from us, that they had to carry out, because it's not enough to say that you respect somebody. You have to actually put that into action. You have to take a stand, take a position, and it's exactly what they did. And to this day, the RNA still is in existence, and we should use that as a model for self-determination. Because today, Kujichagulia is self-determination. We define ourselves and we define what's best for us, and that's directly related to political prisoners, because we say that these are political prisoners. These are captured freedom fighters. They're not terrorists. They're not criminals. And they are worthy of our attention. They are worthy of us organizing to bring them home. And yes, we can bring them home. And we just have to be creative. We got to use every opportunity in our personal time to talk about political prisoners. That's why you see us committed to these episodes on a weekly basis. We ask that you subscribe to the channel if you have not. Encourage at least 10 people to subscribe. Let's get that subscription up. Please hit like. Let others encourage others to hit like, encourage others to share, and let's continue to put this word out. This is the second day of Kwanzaa, Kujichagulia, self-determination. We have work to do in preparation of 2024. But as we conclude this year, we learn from this year and we learn what we have to do more of. And that's why it's very important that we make this commitment to committing ourselves to studying our history, using our culture as a weapon. Because when we talk about Kwanzaa, right, we talk about how Karenga wanted us to have this understanding of a rich culture. Kwanzaa means first fruits. In Africa, when you have a good harvest, that's a reason to celebrate. The youth have more food to eat. The elders have more food to eat. The youth is our future, and they need proper nourishment so their brain could operate correctly and that they could be amongst us and letting us know or what they are making an assessment of and how they are learning from us. They learn from us and we learn from them. It's a dual process. We teach and learn and they learn and teach. So we have to understand the importance of Swahili, of Kwanzaa and how to use for us to become stronger people and more committed to our culture. Our culture is a weapon, and our culture should be used to defend ourselves, right? We learned that land is the basis of independence. Once we acquire land, then we start to develop that land. Then we start to have our own wellness centers. We have our own libraries. We have our own arrangement with our community because we know our community and we can defend ourselves against police terrorism and vigilantes. And this can only be done at the highest level by us controlling our community, us controlling our land. And that's why the Republic of New Africa is so important to us because of the ideas they represent concretely and their understanding of political prisoners because of their position. There were two shootouts that we talked about. And in these two shootouts, that led to political prisoners. So that led to captured freedom fighters. And
the enemy was the aggressor.
Yes, the enemy was the aggressor. Right? We have a right to defend ourselves, and that's why Kujichagulia is so important because it deals with various aspects of self-determination. Self-determination is synonymous with self-defense. You have the right to defend yourself, and when we look at these incidents in the RNA and we look at them leading to political prisoners, we fast forward into today, 2023, and we have political prisoners like Mumia Abu Jamal. We have political prisoners like Joy Powell, Imam Jamil Alamin, and we have Kamal Siddiqui. So we encourage you to write them. It's Kwanzaa time. Send them a Kwanzaa card or send them a letter. Let them know that they're not forgotten and see what you can do to help their campaign to bring them home. Because the more of us are involved, the more creativity, the more creative we become as collective. And now we start gaining more support. Because when we look at what the Palestinians are going through, right, they continue to get support because they're not stopping. They're letting people know about what's happening. They're reporting their body counts. And we have to follow their examples. We have to say, today we're going to talk about our political prisoners. Tomorrow we're going to talk about our political prisoners. We're going to read about our political prisoners. We're going to talk about how we can bring them home. And then, we take it from there. Because for us not to be consistent in matters that are related to us, now others are not going to take it seriously. I can't walk outside without seeing an organized protest for Palestinians. And that's right on point. It's straight ahead to those involved in that because that's necessary. We can't live in a society that we pay taxes to and we allow them to do the atrocities that they're doing with our tax dollars. We have to organize. We have to interrupt business. We have to let those who are in power know that this will not be tolerated, not on our watch, that we are in a position to do something, and we intend to do something today, tomorrow, and the day after until justice is served. And that's the approach we need to have when it comes to our political prisoners. We have to make preparation to do something today, tomorrow, and the day after regarding bringing them home. And there's always something you can do. There's nothing too small and there's nothing too big. What it is, it's about consistency. And that's why me and my brother Abu Haq Islam, we put out this podcast because we want you to know that there's a discussion being held on political prisoners, captured freedom fighters, and that discussion involves the community, right, being involved when they find time, whether they are viewing it live or at another time. But when you hear this episode, we encourage you to share with 10 people and ask those 10 people to share with others. Because once this idea starts to take on more momentum, then now when our political prisoners go to the board, now instead of having 1,000 people, you can have 1,500 or 2,000 people, and now it's letting the board know that this injustice is not going ignored, that this injustice is being taken seriously, and more people are involved. And once we get to know the name of those who are on the parole board, then we raise questions about what they stand for. We investigate their lifestyle and what are they down with, and make sure that they are truly what they're supposed to be, which is impartial. Or when you were at the parole board, did you have a sense of any juror being impartial? Because I think that when we do political prisoner work and our political prisoners come to the board, when we have some evidence that uh, um, one of the people on the board are biased or impartial, we can use that in our favor.
Yeah, well, they wasn't, in favor of a crazy about, my political activity, the thing that I was charged with and incarcerated for, in the in the sentence I had, which involved defending myself against the police. They didn't like that, but ain't about what they like and don't like. It's about us being our own liberators.
Yeah, absolutely. So we being our own liberators, that means that we have to organize and we have to utilize strategies and tactics that are representative of what we stand for, right? We know that we have a right to be self-determined. We have a right to identify what's right for us, and we have to do that. And when we are expressing our self-determination, right, it's good for us to have allies, but we have to understand that some allies are long term, sometimes allies are short term, and we have to be clear with our allies to let them know that this is what we're pursuing, and this is how we're going to pursue it. And we accept their assistance for as long as they're willing to assist us. But we have to maintain our leadership in expressing our self determination, because you have people who are consultants and you have people who are actually active, and those are the ones that you want to really be really have that stronger bond with. Those who are actually doing some work, those who are with you on the battlefield, and not those who are just comfortable with telling you what you should do. It's easy to give somebody some advice, but it's another step further. It's another level of commitment to actually be on the front line with somebody who's expressing self determination, and that's what we need to really focus on when we talk about Kujichagulia. We talk about self determination. We talk about action that needs to be done. Right? There are letters that we write to political prisoners, and we write them back and forth. And from writing these letters, then we ask the political prisoners about the assistance that they need regarding coming home. Do we need to step up the campaign, and what direction should the campaign be? Do we need to develop more online episodes of a podcast or some type of conversation that we're having with people who are respected in the community? Because I think that that's another area that needs to be focused on, right? If you're an imam or if you're a preacher or deacon, whatever position you have in a religious organization, what's your position when it comes to political prisoners? What's your position when it comes to people's self-determination? Because we have a right to be self-determined. And when we are self-determined, we let those outside of our nation know that these people that we identified as our heroes are in fact just that. They are heroes, and they're captured because of their point of view, because of their political position, and therefore they are political prisoners. And we don't let nobody tell us anything other than that. So wherever we can utilize that idea, we should do such, right? Whether it's newspapers, magazines, or going to United Nations and having a time to talk and advocate our ideas, because now others hear it and others know the seriousness that we are dealing with when we talk about our political prisoners. So, brother, when you at the imam, when you at the masjid and the imam is talking, right? What type of conversations come up relating to political prisoners?
Well, we talk about those who have made the sacrifice. Those who have fought and struggled. That they must be respected and supported. You know, um, in regards to the Republic of New Africa and its contributions. Um, when I was coming up, Frank said he had a similar experience when he was coming up. It was a disgrace to be African. Our blackness, we look down on our own blackness. The culture of the signifying monkey, was popular, among us signifying and putting each other down. We said the saying, Africa's blackest child. And Frank said that when he was coming up, the expression African booty scratchers, was floating around, and through the work and the education, of our revolutionaries, people like the Republic of New Africa, we learned to love who we are, to love our homeland, understand, to identify the rich resources in our motherland, to appreciate and be proud of the geniuses that came up, and indeed, our true history educates us that the Europeans came to Africa, to institutions like that in Timbuktu, which brought them out of the Middle Ages, where they got philosophy, science, culture, and that we still have this rich um, fountain, you understand, of valuable information, that comes from our action, our Africanness, which makes us engage in the great struggle. When I was before I had my African consciousness, I was the enemy of the people. I did some things I'm not proud of. It didn't matter who the Vic was, but through understanding who I am and the history and the proud traditions, and the contributions that our motherland has given to humanity, I wouldn't think of doing none of that foul stuff that I did, it caused me to become a social prisoner, and later on through defending myself against attacks by the cops, I became a political prisoner, and we should continue to push this information, the value, the richness to enrich our nation with information, about our motherland, and about our brothers and sisters who have been propelled, to reach the height of their humanity, you understand, through this type of education, through this type of motivation and inspiration that comes from knowing our true selves, and our political prisoners have exampled this to the utmost degree, in standing up against all that opposes us, against the violence and the wickedness, and the thievery, of an enemy who lies to us about everything, including who our political prisoners are and what they mean, So we still say that the call has to be among our people, and that's to roar like thunder, free them all, and we must put action to that, and engage in the campaign. You understand? To put in the heartbeat of our people, what's it called? Free them all.
Right. So in the spirit of Ralph Pointer, we
Pointer, yeah.
Right, Pointer. We
he fought the free political prisoners.
Yes, and he was very consistent with that. He was fiery, and in his spirit, we continue to carry on this work. We bury one revolutionary soldier, and we create more, right? Or we find more of fire because of their legacy that we have to now uphold. So, in his spirit, we continue to do this work, and we don't want our political prisoners to die in prison. We continue to fight hard in the spirit of Poindexter as well. So with that being said, as you enjoy the second day of Kwanzaa, Kujichagulia, self-determination, reflect on that and make sure that you take your positions very serious when it comes to how you identify yourself and how you allow your children to identify themselves. So, do what you need to do to get involved in the fight to free our political prisoners. 347-679-3936 is the number. Call me, and I got an assignment for you. 347-679-3936. Don't let political prisoners die in prison. What's the call?
Free them all.
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 What's the call?
Free them all.